So I got the Canon C100 Mark II a few months ago, so I thought, why not make a review of my old camera, the Canon Rebel T5i? And yes, I am recording in my now empty bedroom. So this was the first DSLR I got. It took me a year to save up for, and it ended up being sort of an 8th grade graduation gift. In comparison, it only took me 4 months to save up for the Canon C100. And I first started shooting in automatic mode using the automatic modes like sport mode and portrait mode. And this was really good at the time for me. It was a really big step up from this tiny camcorder I was using before. So I'd say the first few months of actually owning it, I was just still figuring out how a DSLR works and really just how a camera works. The Rebel T5i really showed me what aperture was, what ISO is, what shutter speed and color balance is. All in all, it was a really nice transition from a camcorder to an actual cinema camera. So let's get into some specs. For video, it records 1080p at 24 and 30 frames per second and 720p at 60 frames per second. And it has a 1.6 crop factor, which does mean it is not as sharp as I would like it to be, and it doesn't do as well in low light. Now the photos it can take are really high quality. It can shoot up to 5 frames per second continuous shooting, and it can actually shoot raw photos. The autofocus was definitely one of the things that really pushed me to get a new camera, honestly. It has a 9-point autofocus system, and it is so slow sometimes. I'm not sure if it was the lens I was using, the 18 to 55mm STM kit lens, but honestly the videos where my subjects were most in focus were when I was using manual focus. With manual focus, you do have to pay a lot more attention, but you have a lot more control over it, and you can focus on something right away rather than having to wait for the camera to focus and try to click on the screen and wait for it to focus a few seconds later. For low light, like I said, it isn't that great. It starts to get pretty grainy around 1600 ISO. Honestly, 800 ISO can also be pretty grainy, but general rule of thumb, the base ISO is 800, so I would just stay at that. For the audio input, I've found that it is honestly better at times to just use the internal body audio. Whenever I would use an external mic, even my best microphone now, the Zoom H1N, I would always have a hissing sound in the background. And it'd also just pick up sounds from me zooming the lens or just other clicking noises around the camera. Whenever I touch the camera, you would hear it. But taking that all into account, how do you get the most out of this camera? This took me probably a year to figure out. I would start off by shooting in manual mode. Definitely have a 180-degree shutter angle. It doesn't offer to do it in angles, so you just have to double your frame rate. Shooting 24 frames per second, just do the cinematic stuff. I mean, sure, you could actually shoot in 30, whatever you'd like. Calm down, all you 60 frames per second shooters. Chaos Chris, ha ha ha. Then I also installed Magic Lantern to get more settings out of it. Now if you choose to install Magic Lantern, do it at your own risk, because if it screws up your camera, Canon will do literally nothing about it. So Magic Lantern allows me to have more cinema camera options like a letterbox, focus peaking zebras, time lapse. It gives me the temperature of the camera, and it did have an option to shoot in RAW, but every time I would try to shoot in RAW, it would just crash immediately. I'd get 2 seconds of RAW and then off. And then I also installed the Cinestyle color profile, which emulates Canon log. So I have a flatter image, and it allows me to do more with color grading, since those darker, more contrast, more saturated colors aren't burned in there. And honestly, when I was shooting at the right place at the right time with the right settings, I got some really good footage out of this camera. So overall, would I recommend it? If you're just getting started out, maybe. Honestly, I wish I had gone with the SL2, which is what my friend Chaos Chris has. His is lighter, it's smaller, and it focuses much faster. So it's definitely good for someone starting out vlogging or just any sort of video. Or even the Canon EOS RP. I personally have not tried it, but I have heard good things about it, and it's like the R, but leveled down a bit. For photography, I would definitely recommend this for photography. Now that I have a cinema camera, I can definitely shoot better video, but I can't substitute the the quality of photos from a DSLR. A DSLR camera that's made for photography while this is made for video. I really hope you guys liked this review video. Let me know if you want to see some more. I might do a review just for my new Sigma lens, and Chris might let me do a review for his new GoPro. Reviews aren't my normal type of content, but hey, they get the views. So I hope you guys have a good day, a safe day, and hey, maybe you and I can go on vacay. I don't even know what that was, I'm sorry guys. See ya.